We go live in about 2.5 minutes. And what else do I need? I want to show in 3 sentences on 3 documents how dangerous this is, this place is. We need, if I get to Steve Fulop, I will. How dangerous this is, how I'm being stalked, and how the people of New Jersey were denied for the last 4 years. And then it's not like we're stopping. We got you who's fighting the good fight.
Absolutely.
I didn't think I'd be fighting the good fight, but I am.
Got Martindale, got Matt Shapiro, and Senator Stack.
Senator Stack, Newark City Councilman Darren Sharif.
I don't know.
You know, we will not be stopped. You know, the justice you get, they like to quote, let me see, let me do one more thing while I'm here. They like to quote, okay, we're going to go live in less than a minute. They like to quote, let's read one, okay. Martin Luther King and say, you know, the arc.
It's famous, the quote of yours, I know.
Yeah, but, you know, it takes time, but the arc of justice, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah, the justice you get is the justice you make.
Excellent.
It's not that, you know, the arc of history tends towards justice because people keep moving it forward little by little. I move it a little forward, you move it forward, Vince moves because we keep moving it forward. Okay, what's this? They get my name wrong when I have a guest. I'm very upset. I'm gonna have to correct this. Nope, sorry. I'm here every week. You got my name wrong. Hello, welcome to our show. We are not the peak moment. We are Crooked Doctors. And today my name is Lidya Radin. As you know, I've been broadcasting live every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. for about a year. And my show is called Crooked Doctors because I've been persecuted for about 25 years by my medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. And this is not so much a show as it is an opportunity to present the facts so I can stop my persecution. And one of the tragedies of my case is that I would have gotten by contract a protection for the citizens of the state of New Jersey in 2008, but for the persecution of my medical school. So, even though the lead into this show was incorrect, and I'll correct that with our tech groups, I do want to say thank you to Manhattan Neighborhood Network. First, I should introduce my guest. This is Bill Doherty. Say hello, Bill.
How do you do? I'm William Doherty with the Jersey City Tenants Association. And we have a great fight going both in the legislation and litigation in the courts. But we'll talk more about that in a moment. And the court case will be coming up in August. It's certainly a bona fide court case which will affect many of the cases already online, including Lydia's, as a matter of fact.
Now, the reason why Bill is here is because, as an unlikely hero, but you are a hero,
Thank you.
People ask me the same question as they ask Bill, like, why are you doing this? And we didn't expect to be heroes, but someone had to do something, and so it turned out to be us. So we're just going to roll with it.
Somebody's got to do it.
And the justice you get is the justice you make, so we're going to make some justice. So the reason why Bill's case is so compelling is that right now, he's being taken into court by his dishonest landlord.
Exactly.
And the compelling reason for him to be dragged into court is a couple different reasons, but he's going to use, this is the big picture, he's going to use his court case to drive forward legislation on a city level and a state level to protect tenants.
And the larger issues actually are 4. There's attorney's fees for the pretty aggrieved. There's also security guards. That's another point which is in legislation now.
Okay,
There's
wait. Before we get
a
into
number
those-
of things, and she'll outline them in a minute.
Okay, so before we get to those details, the reason why this is so important is that the harm could have been stopped towards me. The harm could have been stopped to a lot of people. There's a movement to put independent cameras in the courtroom.
I was going to get to that. Thank you.
And that's the single, what is the single, we ask ourselves, because we're being persecuted, there's crime, there's corruption. In our court cases, there's only 3 points of control. You control the judge, you control your attorney, you control the transcript.
That's right.
And then what you do is you create this false record, and you can manage court cases any way you want. You can manage evil, you can create false...
You can manipulate, as it were.
You can manipulate, you can create false court records, you can deny reality, you can deny people equal protection of the law, you can actually create evil. So how do we stop that? And in our...
Well, certainly the issue is cost. The reason that landlords can go after tenants because there are no costs. And they can always charge the tenants, but the tenants have no...
We're going to get into...
We're going to get into that. Okay,
we're going to get into that detail in a minute. But
Yeah.
Bill's case is compelling, and he's getting a court case in
August.
in Jersey City, New Jersey,
Yes.
where I used to live before I was physically assaulted and almost murdered, and then came to Manhattan, where a whole series of events happened to cover up that premeditated attempted murder, and that's what it is. But Bill's going into court in 2 or 3 months, and the single best thing that we can ask for to stop the harm to individuals like me and to Bill, because you have a history of being persecuted by your landlords.
Certainly ever since we formed the Tenants Association 5 years ago, I've had a hard way to go because landlords tend to go after the tenant leaders, which is no surprise.
There you go. So the single best thing we can do is put independent cameras in the courtroom. If there were independent cameras in the courtroom, you can't change the transcript. The judge is going to be harder to influence, and it's harder for your attorney, like my attorney in this case, Mr. Lawrence Sidoni, to throw my case. So our main thrust is try to get cameras in the courtroom, and when you have your court case, we're going to be asking your attorney to get permission for me to bring independent cameras in the courtroom.
My attorney is Vincent Ansetti Esquire. She'll have
Let me put up his card.
His card. And he's very important because he's going to take Lydia's case, maybe in conjunction with mine. But we'll see what happens on that front. Certainly we're moving ahead with my front.
Okay, so what we got right now is, let me just click on this. This is Bill's attorney, and I asked Bill if anybody had any questions, could they call him and ask? So if you've got any questions about Bill's court case,
Phone number?
Yeah, I'm going to put up Vince Ansetti's phone number. This is Vince Ansetti. We met with him. Here we go. This is Vince Ansetti. And I'm going to enlarge this a little bit. I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to film an interview in his office so we can get his take on things. This is Mr. Vince Ansetti is Bill Doherty's attorney, and what he's going to court to ask for are, we're going to have independent cameras in the courtroom to protect Bill and the integrity of the system. So that's the first thing we're asking for.
Attorney's fees.
And then, because this is a frivolous lawsuit, well, we'll get to that in just a minute. But this is Vince Ansetti, if you have any questions. And there's 3 compelling reasons to go into court. Yes. We want independent cameras in the courtroom. Yes. So the easiest way to manipulate the court system, I've been persecuted by my medical school. I was persecuted in Jersey City. I was persecuted when I tried to get my apartment.
Well, you see, she's absolutely right. But you see, in Jersey City, you have to get permission from the presiding judge. That's where Vince comes in, because by August, she will have that permission to film. It'll be a first.
Bill's case is going to be a precedent-setting case. Plus, apparently, in this studio, thank you, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, there's been a movement to put independent cameras in the courtroom. And one of the independent producers, who's a wonderful person, donated this week parts of her show to Mr. Doherty. We filmed those segments. And they want to donate more time to support independent cameras in the courtroom because the producers here, who are also attorneys and activists, have experience with transcripts being changed.
Yes, and this pretty much parallels what we call the Sunshine Law in the state of New Jersey. All city council meetings are open to the public, and that's a law. Prior to that law, they were held behind closed doors. It pretty much mirrors what's going on with the courtroom.
Right. So basically, before you had the sunshine laws, and I love the way that, before we shined light on all of this.
Well, that's
right?
what they're called.
Before we had the sunshine laws, we would have star chamber justice, where, the good old boys in a town would go into the back room and decide how the town was going to be run, usually in their interests, not in the town's interests. So there's another independent producer who offered yesterday. He told me he had 2 cameras and he would come to court, and he would also be an independent camera.
Yes.
So when we go into court, for Bill's case now, we want independent cameras in the courtroom. That's the single best protection that we as American citizens have against our overtly corrupt courts. And what I've been doing in this show is showing how a powerful institution like my medical school can influence judges to actually fabricate wholesale make-up rulings, and it's so serious that they actually lied to put me in prison.
You know what's so important too, because New York, Manhattan is the center of the world, let's face it. Certainly Jersey City is the 6th ward of Manhattan, that we are in sync with Manhattan in these laws and the promulgation thereof.
Thank you for bringing that up, because one of the things that I get told is when I go to Jersey City, they're like, "Oh, this is very important," because it's a little bit of arrogance, and sometimes we offend the citizens of New Jersey. But Jersey City is now being called like the 6th borough.
Exactly.
And the financial after 9/11, all the financial companies
industry moved to Jersey City.
And there are many New Yorkers who now use Jersey City as a bedroom community.
A bedroom community for right across the river. You can't beat that.
Right.
And certainly there's one other factor. It's 1/3 the cost of living for Jersey City than it is in Manhattan. So it's well affordable.
Okay, good. And so you've got your court case in Jersey City, where I used to live. We're asking for independent cameras in the courtroom. The reason why your landlord is taking you to court is because your landlord claims that you let people into your building.
Here is the rub. This covers the security guard.
Yeah, before
ordinance.
we do that, we got a phone call.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
How are you, dear?
Oh, this is Ben, my super fan. Hi, Ben, superfan.
Wow, you look great this week.
You see, he calls me compliments. Thank you. I pay him for this. No, I don't. Listen, did you get my check? So I can.
No. Speaking about checks, Mrs. Pavinotti called.
Oh, Mrs. Pavinotti called.
Yeah, she said she's so poor now that she has to go down to Kentucky Fried Chicken and lick other people's fingers.
Okay.
Looks nice, that lipstick. This is great. I'm so glad to see you out of that purple outfit.
I have judges like Judge Brenda Spears. This is very serious. I have Judge Brenda Spears in Manhattan Landlord-Tenant Court who fabricated, wholesale made up some stupidity that it was okay for my roommate to change the locks, and now I'm being put through like all kinds of hell to try to get my apartment back. So you know something? I was thinking about this, Ben, as I was coming into the studio. Here's what we should do. As long as Judge Brenda Spears likes making things up, if you're evil out there, if you're a roommate and you want to get rid of your roommate, Here's what you do. You change the locks illegally without a court order. And then when something happens, you cite to Judge Brenda Spears. You call me and I will give you my court case. And then until my case is reversed, which it will be on appeal, you can stupidly cite to Judge Spears and go, but Judge Spears said it was okay. And then let that evil go forward. I mean, if that's the stupidity, if that's the way they want to play the game, Judge Brenda Spears, listen up, Manhattan and Flatbush. Judge Brenda Spears, she's at 111 Central Street, and she's in landlord-tenant court. She fabricated, wholesale, made up a ruling that it was okay for my roommate, Dan Caro, to change the locks on my apartment without a court order. That's an illegal lockout. But if that's the game they want to play, if you're a roommate out there and you want to get rid of your roommate, you go and illegally change the locks. And if anybody questions you, you say, Judge Spears said it was okay.
So are you saying that Staten Island is the only borough that you don't have a court case and housing court going on right now?
You're on my mic. There you go. Staten Island is the only place that's not persecuting me so far. See,
the only state on the eastern seaboard up here that you're not going to housing court about. By the way, does Bill know Gilbert Polinsky and his evil wife Harriet?
You know what they said? Listen, this was a litigation point. You know what the Polinskis said through our attorney? They're like, could you get Liddy to shut up? Because we're really tell her to stop talking. Tell her to stop organizing the tenants. Tell her to stop. If she just stops, we'll settle this thing quickly. So nobody wants to hear Gilbert Polinsky and his evil wife Harriet. Listen, Ben.
Yeah.
We got a lot of facts that we got to put on the record.
Again, I'll call you back later.
Okay, here we go. Thanks for calling, Ben. It's nice to talk to you.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, that's Ben, my super fan. I love him. We love you, Ben.
Now let me say a couple of words. Now
Sure.
the security. What?
Wait. Let me just say that the reason why you're being dragged into court is because.
Security guard.
Yeah, I know. But before we get into the details, you're being dragged into court because your landlord trumped something up, and
Absolutely.
he made up. When I look at your case, it's like, the same stuff with Matt Lee. It's lie after lie after lie, and you keep winning. So there's two other big issues. So there's cameras in the courtroom, which we're driving forward. That's the single best thing that we can do to stop the harm to us. And then we'll get to that. When you win in New Jersey, we're asking for, and we're going to get to this because this is really important, we're asking for when the tenant wins, the tenant should be able to recover attorney's fees. Now, this was my court case in 2008, and I've got it scanned up so we can look at it, but I just want to talk you through it, and then we'll go through the details. We would have had this protection in New Jersey in 2008, but for the malicious influence of my medical school. So I asked for attorney's fees. My lease, I was going through a landlord-tenant case. I was winning against my landlords. 1, 2, 3. We're into the 4th frivolous eviction. And this was not an eviction, it was a challenge to a lease. My landlords had presented me with a proposed lease, and that lease was grossly unfair because it said that if my landlords took me to court and won, they could ask me, the tenant, to pay their attorney's fees. So I said, okay, I want the same consideration, and because that's fair.
Absolutely.
And what happened was that because my attorney, provided by the state of New Jersey, deliberately threw my case and did not provide the authority that we're going to talk to, this was a contract. My landlords were asking for attorney's fees. I wanted the same consideration. And instead, Judge Fast, this is evil Judge Fast, who we've exported from Jersey City to now Newark. He thinks I can't find him in Newark, but I've been talking to people in Newark. Do these people really think they can get away from me? They are going to be held accountable. The reason why I was drop-kicked into Rikers was because I was actually going to Newark and going into Judge Fast's courtroom, and he's such a coward, he was doing everything he could to try to run away from my subpoenas. But wait, I digress. So it's in 2008, and we're in landlord-tenant court. I'm asking for attorney's fees. It's only fair that I get them because we don't draft contracts where the landlord gets everything and the tenant gets nothing. Okay, so my case was deliberately undermined, but here's Bill.
Yeah, I've got a comment. You see, She's got a very good point, Lydia, because there's no statute of limitations on this case. It doesn't expire, so she can always appeal it, and certainly we'll look into that.
I did appeal it, and I don't want to get into details of my
we
case.
We will be going back, yeah.
Yeah, because this is denial of equal protection.
No statute of limitations.
Well, this is denial of equal protection of the law, so I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I'm driving this thing forward because it's fair to all, for all tenants. And even though I was persecuted and undermined, here comes Bill. Now, Bill's going into court on this pretext. He's going to win, and when he wins, he's going to be asking for attorney's fees.
And getting it.
And getting them, so that's huge. Because you've been dragged into court a couple times now.
A few times, and you know the history of it. It's pretty much parallels what you've been going through.
Right. So basically, his landlord doesn't like the fact that he's standing up for what's right. He's a tenant leader. The landlord makes all kinds of crazy lies.
Yeah.
In this immediate action, he's being dragged into court because the pretext is his landlord says that he let people into the building.
Yes, I was going to just give a few words on that. Yes. The issue here is who is responsible for keeping strangers out of the building? Is it the tenant or the landlord? Right now, that's a very fuzzy issue. Once the court rules in August, it will no longer be a fuzzy issue. It will be a court ruling, and the politicians will have to move ahead because they can no longer muddy the waters, as it were.
So the landlord's trying to say that it's the tenant's responsibility, Bill's responsibility, to keep strangers out of the building. Now, Bill lives, I went to the building that he lives.
Yes.
It's a building mostly with disabled people and senior citizens.
280 units.
Yeah. So I went to the building where he lives, and I just walked in. There was no security guard. Nobody stopped me. Anybody can just walk in. And the landlord is claiming that it's up to Bill to keep people out of the building. Now, here's Bill on the 16th floor. He has no idea what's going on in the lobby. He's cooking dinner, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody walks in and knocks on his door, he's like, "Excuse me, you have no right to be here. Please leave."
Yes. How do tenants get into the building is often raised. Well, you ring everybody's doorbell and or you wave at the door and someone will open the door for you. There's no problem coming into the building. Or you wait for a tenant to exit and you follow that tenant in. So there's no, I mean, that's a quite a stupid question to ask because the answer is obvious. Anybody can get into there's no security guard to stop him.
So basically what Bill says is, look, my landlord is dragging me into court, accusing me of letting, people into the building. That's not my responsibility. Sure. And he went down to the Jersey City Council and said, look, we should have security guards. It's not my responsibility as a tenant to provide security. The landlord should be providing security. So he asked the Jersey City Council to pass a security guard ordinance. Therein ensued the Byzantine politics of Jersey City.
Well, this ordinance has lain in limbo for who knows how long. And of course, the landlord is blocking legislation, which we'll never prove, but it's pretty obvious what's going on. Pretty much what Lydia said about people being in cahoots, the legislators and private corporations and so forth.
So what happens is you called Eric Martindale and
the tenant leader in Newark.
Right. So let's look at his website. So we've got me out in New York fighting the good fight. You're in Jersey.
Newark Tenants Association.
Right,
and I'm with the Jersey City Tenants Association.
Right.
We have formed an alliance to fight these things.
So from New York to Jersey City to Newark, the tenants are becoming united. And here's the thing. We're 75%, in Newark, tenants are 75% of the population.
Ditto for Jersey City, give or take.
Okay, so we're, in Jersey City, tenants are about 75-80% of the population.
Exactly.
The press will not report this. In Newark, these are issues that are about the day-to-day life of tenants.
I'll jump in here. The Jersey Journal has had a news blackout on all tenant-landlord matters for a couple of years. Now, none of us know why this is, but it's happened. The Star Ledger has had a news blackout on tenant issues in Newark. and nobody knows. So Merrick Martindale's advice was always go to the TV media. You don't need these people.
So here we are on TV. We're making DVDs by the hundreds to give these issues. We're going to put stuff up on YouTube. We public speak at city council meetings. I bring my camera. We're going to put it up there.
I'll break in 1 second.
Go ahead.
We've had Tony Yates of ABC TV News. She did a story and filmed us at the Grand View where all this stuff is going on. So we have been on WABC TV already.
And we need her again.
We may have her again.
Well, you know what? You're going to give me your her phone number, and we need her again.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so we need her again. So these are issues that are of importance in the day-to-day lives of 75, 3/4 of the population of Newark, New Jersey, New York, and it's not reported by the press. So the only conclusion you can draw is that what we're getting is not the free press, but propaganda.
Yes, a free press is in the Constitution, but I don't see it operating.
So the reason why we've got Bill here is Bill is picking up the ball.
Absolutely.
And he's going into court. He's saying, what you did to Miss Radin, you're not going to do to me, because we're going to have independent cameras in the courtroom, which is a huge, huge protection. He's going to win. He was dragged into court on a pretext. He's going to win. He's going to say, look, I want my attorney's fees paid for.
I'll not jump in. Okay. The reason landlords can do this to tenants, there's no charge. I mean, so the onus is always on the tenants. Well, this court case will change all that, because now the tenants get it. There's boilerplate in every lease which says only the landlords collect attorney's fees. Right now, Senator Stack has a bill which is correcting that.
Okay, so what we're doing is we went to Senator Stack. Here's a little plug for independently minded. Brian Stack is our New Jersey senator. State senator.
And Senator Cunningham. She's the co-sponsor.
Well, I have a little, okay.
Well, whatever, but the point is we have them both on board.
I can say nice things about Brian Stack.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we'll move ahead.
So, and here's the thing. So we went to Brian Stack, and I actually have a video where me and Patricia Waiters went to a meeting with Brian Stack, and for some of the crimes in my case and in Patricia Waiters' case.
Well, would you show this on your program someday?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So
stay tuned, folks.
I actually showed it because Brian Stack committed to being carbon copied on a request. We asked for a meeting with the state attorney general, with Jeffrey Casa, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Yes. And we want to meet a face-to-face meeting. We've been jerked around by, our lives are being destroyed. We've been jerked around enough. We have a right to go to the state attorney general. We went to Trenton. We talked to the governor's office. We go straight to the chief law enforcement officer.
I'll break in right here. I'll have to give a little boost here. Senator Stack is not a politician. This man is a straight arrow. I've seen him face to face, and this is an honest man. It's hard to believe in politics, but this is what we have now. Go ahead.
You know what I really like about Brian Stack was when we had the meeting with him. Do you know where the meeting took place?
Where?
The public library. Like, you didn't have to go through gatekeepers. Brian Stack, I mean, I've never seen a politician do this before. It was amazing. He has regular meeting hours at different public libraries, and you go to the public library and you can actually talk to him. He's
not aloof. He's not distant from the people. He is the people.
So we asked him when, we have to prepare a letter asking for a face-to-face meeting with the state attorney general. And I asked him, and I got him on videotape where he commits to, yes, carbon copy on that letter. And sir, would you make a support call to make sure this meeting goes through? He said yes. I got him on video. He's not, we got another call. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for calling.
I saw your broadcast.
Okay.
TV. Am I live?
Yeah, you're talking right now. We're listening to you.
Okay, I have a situation with my landlord. I was illegally evicted.
Okay.
And I took him to housing court, and I got no justice. He's still holding on to my belongings. I have not been able to get in the property since I was evicted April 16th of this year.
Do you know that if you go down to 111 Center Street, there's free clinics where you can talk to a free attorney? Were you aware of that?
No.
Okay, this is what you do. First thing Monday morning, go down to 111 Center Street in Manhattan. Were you evicted in Manhattan? Is that where you
I'm in Brooklyn. I
Brook-
didn't know I could do it in Manhattan because I'm in Brooklyn, so I didn't know.
Okay, well, if you're in Brooklyn, go. You know where landlord-tenant court is in Brooklyn, in 141 Livingston Street?
I also did that. I went there, tried to get a lawyer, and they told me that they couldn't do anything to help me because the judge already, the judge has not helped me in any way to get my belongings from the landlord. He's still holding on to my belongings, and all the judge is saying that she has acknowledged on the court papers that I was illegally evicted, but then she's saying, oh, you have to take him to civil court to get your stuff. And
Okay, don't panic, don't get upset. Who's the judge?
her name is Orfstein.
Okay, I don't know her. I'm not as familiar with Brooklyn landlord-tenant court, but I think that I think there's a clinic, I'm not sure. Go down to 141 Livingston and see if there's a clinic that will help you. I do know that at 111 Center Street in Manhattan, if you ask for the free clinic, and you got to get there early and sign up, there are free lawyers that you can ask questions. But I do know that if your landlord seizes your possessions, like your clothes and your furniture, they can't do that. That's illegal.
I know he has illegally evicted me, and I've been to 141 Livingston Street time and time, and up until this, we have been before that judge 3 times, and none
Did
of
you
the time
call?
the landlord has shown
Are you
up.
qualified for legal aid?
I'm sorry?
Are you qualified for legal aid?
Well, yeah, because when I went and I spoke to a free lawyer there at the 141, they keep advising me what to do, and I'm doing it, but at the end of the day, the judge is not giving me access to get my belongings. They have also, I also give me permission to go with the cops, and the cops is no help either.
Well, if the judge is saying you have permission to go to the apartment with the police, then go to the apartment with the police and collect your stuff.
I have, and the police have not. They're telling me that if there's no one there to open the door, they can't break the door down, and they can. So therefore, I can't get my stuff.
Well, that's true. You have to. So what you're trying to do is, the landlord's not on site, and you have to make an appointment to try to get your belongings.
Whenever I call him and tell him that I'm going to be there, he sends someone else. The last time he sent someone else, the young lady said that, told the cops that she doesn't have the key and she's not the landlord, so she's not letting me in.
So they're just giving you a runaround. They're giving you a hard time.
I know that.
Okay.
I know I don't know why they're not trying to help me, but she was just in the house and she's telling the cops she doesn't have the key and she's not the landlord. The cops said they can't do anything and they left.
So go back in front of the judge. How long have you been jerked around so far?
I have been locked out since April 16. The last time I went, I requested to see a supervising judge because to appeal the case that the judge. I went to the 15th floor on 141 Livingston Street to see the supervising committee. They took all the court papers, looked at it. I waited for like 2-3 hours for them to come back and tell me that is final and they can't do anything to help me either.
Why did the landlord evict you? For non-payment of rent?
No, there was a tenant there that lied on telling the cops that I pepper sprayed her, and they arrested me. They arrested me, and she got a restraining order. I was arrested on the 14th. I came out on the 15th. I went to the premises on the 16th, and the lock on the door was changed.
They changed the lock on the door with a court order or without a court order?
It was illegal. I didn't get any papers at all. And ever since on the 16th, I have not been able to get back in. Up until today, I have not been able to get back in.
Did you get in today?
No, I mean up until current, I have not been able to get back in.
Were you arrested and charged with something?
They charged me with assault. The case is still in criminal court, and nobody has shown up at all. There's no evidence. When she told the cops that I sprayed her with pepper spray, the cops asked her, "Ma'am, did you see her spray you with pepper spray?" She said no, because the door was closed. The cops said, "Okay, ma'am, we're finished with you," and they left. 10 to 15 minutes later on, they came back saying that I'm arrested. I said, "Why am I under arrest?" She said, "She saw you, ma'am." I said, "She just told you she didn't see me." He said, "You're under arrest." She said she saw you, and that's how I got locked up.
Do you have an attorney from legal aid that's helping you?
Yes, I have she did not do anything for them to lift the restraining order, and so that's what the judge is using. Judge Orfstein is using to say, "Oh, I have a protection. They have a protection order against you, so you can't get in there." That doesn't give the landlord any right to illegally evict me.
That's true. I mean, if you have a restraining order, do you guys live on the same floor or different floors?
Yes, the same floor.
And you know, if there's a no contact order, or a restraining order, you have the right to get into your apartment and get your belongings.
Exactly. I understand about the restraining order and that I can't move in, I can't go back to the premises, fine, but I need to get in and get my belongings.
You have every right to do that.
Exactly.
Go down to legal aid, get your legal aid attorney, and demand. I mean, I had to go to a supervising judge too. Keep going. Go back to your legal aid attorney and say, "Look, I need not to stop jerking me around. I need to get into my apartment to get my belongings." And if they won't help you, go to the U.S. Attorney's Office. I mean, if you really have to escalate things, go to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. It happens to be just a few blocks from landlord-tenant court, and go to the criminal division.
You mean the Attorney General?
No, forget the Attorney General. Go to the U.S.
I went there and they told me, "Oh, ma'am, you have to get a lawyer."
Yeah, they're just going to blow you off. Go to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Where is that?
The U.S. Attorney's Office is if you Google it. Do you have access to the internet?
Yes.
Okay, just Google U.S. Attorney's Office. This is the Department of Justice in Brooklyn. I've been there myself, and say, "Look, I'm being denied equal protection of the law. I have the right to get my property. The landlord changed the locks. You have every right to go in there and get your belongings, your radio, your jewelry, your suit, and go in there and make a complaint for civil rights violations, and start kicking up your heels. Go down there and say, "Look, anybody, just because there's a no contact order or restraining order, this is just an allegation. You haven't been found guilty in criminal court yet."
Exactly.
And as long as you can go in and out of that building as much as you want, as long as you don't talk to this tenant, have any interaction with her, avoid her. If you see her, turn around and walk in the other direction. It's just garbage. So start, toughening up a little. And something, go to the U.S. Attorney's Office, fill out the form for denial of equal protection of the law. You have the right to do that. And then call me next week. And if they keep jerking you, pardon me?
At this number?
Yeah, call. I'm here every Friday. Call me next week and go down and get tough with your attorney and say, "Look, I have the right to." This the same thing happened to me with Judge Brenda Spears. These judges just make stuff up. Go to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Department of Justice, and demand that if you've been to landlord-tenant court and you've been to the supervising judge and they're making up stories to keep you out of your home and away from your possessions, go to the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office, and start making it hard on them. File complaints with the Bar Association against the judges and the attorneys. It's not a big deal. Just say, "Look, this was an allegation. I haven't been found guilty of anything yet. So there's a no contact order or restraining order. I don't want to talk to this person anyway. I want my belongings." You have the right to do that. Start making complaints. Start making noise. Start making them feel uncomfortable. And then call me back next week, okay?
What's your name?
My name is Lidya Radin.
Woody?
Lydia Radin.
Oh, Lydia.
Yeah. Get your
Radin?
attorney, Radin. Get your attorney on board. Get your attorney. Start making complaints. Go to the Bar Association. File complaints against the judge. Boy, I'm going to have to leave town. So long, New York.
Bye, people.
Thank you. I appreciate your help.
No, seriously, stop making it comfortable for them. And then
Right.
call me back next week and give me their names. And then we'll start publicizing. I'm going to be so screwed.
I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to hearing from you next week, okay?
My name is Beth. Thank you.
Okay, next week I want to hear from you, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye.
You know what the problem is? We make it easy for these people. So we got to file complaints with the Bar Association. You know, these people, some of these people, in my case, they need to be taken off the bench to have their licenses practice removed. Hello? Hello?
Boy, oh boy, soon you're going to have to start charging for advice.
It's not advice, it's basic common sense. And I got to tell you something, it's because we're trained to be patsies. And as soon as we're trained not to be patsies and start fighting back, and when we get rid of the judges who make things up, and when we get attorney's fees too, and when we start pressing complaints to the Bar Association, you know what we should have? We should have the wall of shame. Do not hire this attorney, because
Great idea. We'll keep that in mind.
I wish I had a tenant problem. I'd call you.
The wall of shame. We're
Wall of
gonna.
shame.
Unfortunately, I
Thank
love
you.
my landlord. You know.
The wall of shame. Do
It's
not.
coming, folks.
The wall of shame. Do not hire Lawrence Sidoni. The wall of, and here's why. The wall of shame. Do not hire Michael J. Redenberg, and here's why. The wall of shame have nothing to do with Jess Berkowitz, and here's why. And when we start putting up the wall of shame, these are the attorneys who want nothing to do with it and start making ethics complaints, and then we'll get a whole new word. Listen, Ben, superfan, I love you. There's a couple things I have to get on the record to help Mr.
Doherty.
Is his landlord saying that he was the only one letting people in the door out of the whole building?
They're picking on him because he formed a tenants association. What he does is he goes down to the city council meetings and he asks for
Legislation.
his case is being used to drive forward legislation on the city level
And
to
the
have,
state.
to have a security guard, a 24-hour security guard, and his case is being used to drive forward legislation. We proposed legislation. It was introduced about a week ago
Senator Stack.
with Senator Stack, asking that tenants should have the right to recover
24/7.
attorney fees too.
Oh yeah.
So what I want to show you is right here. I'm going to switch the
All right,
camera.
go ahead.
I'm going to switch the camera view, and what you're going to see is right here. This is New York real property law, and in my case, this is in 2008 when my landlords took me in front of Judge Fast, and Judge Fast is dangerous to others. He's in Newark right now. But I'm going to increase the magnification so you can see it. This was the law, the New York law that I brought to New Jersey, and because in New Jersey there is no law like this that says tenants can recover attorney's fees.
Right.
I brought this and I asked my attorney, Mr. Lawrence Sidoni, I said, could you please provide this, in my submissions to Judge Fast? And so what Judge Fast will, even though I can't cite to New Jersey law, I can cite to the next state, and I can cite to New York law. So this is New York real property law, and it's the tenant's rights to recover.
Is that a standard lease that says that you're responsible for their fees if you lose?
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question. And It is
standard. You're saying that's standard in apartment leases?
In every lease, almost every lease in the state of New York, New Jersey, every lease will say that's what boilerplated means.
It's boilerplate in every landlord lease. It covers the landlord. There's nothing for the tenant.
Correct.
I got to reread my lease.
You should, because what you're going to find in your lease is that your landlord will say that should he have to take you to court, and he wins, he has the right to ask you to pay his attorney's fees. So
yeah, but ask. I mean, we'd ask you to pay. Ask means, would you pay? You say no.
Well, no. You
have to pay. That's the law.
You signed a contract,
Exactly.
so he has the right to. I mean, the landlord could say, "I don't want attorney's fees. I'm a millionaire and I don't need."
Really? You're going to find a landlord like that?
Well, what I'm saying is, in your lease, the landlord has protected himself, and what he said is, if I have to take you to court and I win, I can recover my attorney's fees, so I can be made whole again. So attorney's fees are not a barrier to me, the landlord, getting justice.
Exactly.
Well, he wrote the lease. What do you expect?
Well, but wait, a lease is a contract, and
can't you add a codicil to the end of the lease saying, well, the same thing is in reverse?
Hello, that's what we're working. Thank you.
There you go.
So there I am in Jersey, and I say, well, that's really nice that my landlord has drafted this protection for him. What about me? I want the same consideration.
Yeah,
okay?
last.
And so when I'm fighting this in 2008, I say, I want the same protection. Please put a clause into the lease that says if I, the tenant, win against my landlord. I want my landlord to
And
pay.
what happened now? So it's 2012 now. What happened?
Correct. So what happened? My attorney, Mr. Lawrence Sidoni, did not, and the judge involved wrote, and I'm going to change the camera view. The judge involved claimed falsely that here, let me just change the camera view. Claimed falsely that I could cite to no that I could cite to no wait, you know what? I'm going to keep this on us until I pull this up. The judge involved, and this is Judge Fast, and I'm going to read it. Here we go, right here, Bill. This is my court case.
All right.
And it says, you're going to confirm this, defendant cited to no authority to support the obligation of a landlord to reimburse a tenant even when the tenant is successful in defending an eviction. Now, I was not being evicted. I was challenging a proposed lease, and I asked for the same consideration. And I did cite to
Did
authority.
the landlord cite anything by he could say that?
The landlord is putting in the lease, and he's saying, please sign this contract, Lydia. And I'm saying, no, this contract is inherently unfair to me. And here's one example. The landlord is put in a provision that says he can recover his attorney's fees. I want a paragraph that says I can recover mine.
Right.
So,
It's not even a paragraph. It's one little sentence.
right, basically. So the judge said, and then as I'm putting in my final submissions to Judge Fast, I go to New York and I get real property law from New York. I get New York real property law, section 234, and it says in this, and this is time tested in New York. It says, look, we don't. This is the fundamental principles of contract law. We do not draft inherently unfair contracts. So by the principles of reciprocity
Yeah, conscionability.
and unconscionability, if the landlord is saying that he gets this protection, the tenant can ask for the same thing, because we don't draft these contracts where the landlord gets everything and the tenant gets nothing.
There you go.
Right. So what does my attorney? So I come to New York, and I go to law libraries and I consult with all my little attorneys, and I get this law and I bring it back to Lawrence Sidoni and I say, Lawrence Sidoni, please put this into my submissions with Judge Fast, so Judge Fast will know that even though there's no law in New Jersey, I am appropriately citing to the next nearest state, which is New York. So there is authority. And what does Lawrence Sidoni do? He deliberately does not submit that. He wanted me to lose. That's malicious. It's intentional. This man has no moral character. He needs to be disbarred.
Well, what did he say when you confronted him?
Oh, do you love this? I go to his office, and I go to the secretary, and I have housing authorities. There's this one woman who's noted. Do you know Talisa Dowling?
Yes, she goes to city council meeting.
Talisa Dowling. I even asked Talisa Dowling to ask for me also. Talisa Dowling is a well-known leader in the African American community in and around Jersey City. And so I go down to Mr. Lawrence Sidoni and I say, can I please make an appointment? He's like, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the cops because you're harassing me. I'm not harassing you. I'm holding your feet to the fire.
That's like that secretary for Judge Patterson.
Thank you. So that's what they do. They bribe the judges, they control your attorney, and then when you come back and say, hey, you just screwed me, this isn't fair, they call the cops and then they lie on you and they make up these stories. And in my case, 3 steps behind me is Jimmy David from my medical school lying about me, telling all kinds of stories. Oh, don't listen to her. I even have Steve Fulop. Do you know Steve Fulop?
Steve Fulop is a Jersey City councilman.
He's my city councilman. I go to my city councilman. He's running for mayor right now.
He's running for mayor in 2013.
And he pretends to be the law and order candidate. So I'm like, hey, Mr. Law and Order candidate, it was more important to hurt Lydia Radin as an individual than to get protection for every tenant in the state of New Jersey. Because by contract, if I had set this precedent in 2008, Bill would not have to be fighting this fight right now.
Exactly.
It was more important to hurt Lydia Radin as an individual than to get protection for every tenant in the state of New Jersey. Lawrence Sidoni deliberately lost my case. And not only he didn't even have to put in the New York law, because even here, Judge Fast...
Well, when did you find that out? I mean, the judge says, okay, you lost, and then you went home, and then you looked at the thing and said, well, why? This guy didn't submit the...
I was flabbergasted.
I mean, at what point did you realize this guy...
Well, this came out in... Wait, I just want to finish this other legal point, and then I'll answer your question. I didn't even have to put in the New York law, because even here it says... even here, Judge Fast is ignoring the basic principles of contract law.
Sure.
He's deliberately drafting a fabricated, wholesale, made-up ruling. When did I find out? This came out in early September, September 3rd, 2008. So I go down to the court to look at this, and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is fabricated, wholesale, made up. I could go through this like unbelievable. They just made stuff up. But you know something? It didn't matter, because even though you blew my case and even though you hurt every tenant in the state of New Jersey, a few weeks after this...
Yeah, but what did he say, though, when you said, what did you do this for?
He refuses to. I have never been able to see Lawrence Sidonian. When I go down to his office and try to make an appointment to confront him, he threatens me with calling the police, and he says, I'm going to make up a story that you're harassing me and have you arrested.
Yes.
Why don't you sue him for...
Oh, baby! No, the state of New Jersey for this crap, because not only that, I appealed this. So not only did I appeal this, I got 3 appeals judges who upheld this nonsense. But wait, it gets better. It didn't so this comes out in early September 2008. I'm like, thanks a lot for screwing me, Mr. Lawrence Sidoni. Do not hire Lawrence Sidoni from Northeast New Jersey Legal Services.
Chant, yes.
Okay, hire, what's the name of your attorney?
His name is Vincent Ansetti in Jersey City.
Hire Vincent Ansetti. So let me put up his business card.
Esquire, I'm sorry.
So what happened is, it didn't matter, because a few weeks after this, my landlords cashed my rent payments while I was still living in the apartment. So about September 25th, 2008, I go back to see Judge Fast, and I say, and I'm in his courtroom, and I'm like, Judge Fast, even though this came out in early September of 2008, a few weeks later, my landlords cashed my rent payments. I was still living in the apartment. When they cashed my rent payments, that meant that they accepted me as a tenant, and they waived all previous action against me. So as part of post-judgment relief, my landlords have accepted me as a tenant, and there is no eviction. And then I had to go in front of Judge Fast again on September 25th, 2008. He was forced to admit that I was right. He gave me a waiver, and then he started making up more stuff.
You know, they didn't agree about paying the lawyer's fees, though.
Pardon me?
They may have cashed your checks, but they didn't agree that, yes, they would pay your lawyer's fees.
The attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Well, we were arguing a matter of principle.
Is there a difference between lawyers and attorneys?
No, lawyers and attorneys are the same thing.
This is being litigated as we speak. The attorney's fees by Vincent Ansetti in August.
Right. So Bill is going to court because he's picking up where I left off. And he's being dragged into court on a pretext where the landlord is saying it's, that he's...
Tenant's responsibility not to let strangers into the building.
Well,
wait,
before
we only have guys, we only have 8 minutes left, so let me just
go ahead.
sum up, okay? Bill is picking up where I left off. So Bill is being dragged into landlord-tenant court now on a pretext, on some stupid little lie. And what his landlord has said is, oh, you're letting people in the building. And he's like, it's not my responsibility who comes into the building. You should have a security guard.
And that's Vincent Ansetti's argument. It's the landlord's responsibility. He replied to the landlord.
Right. So this is Vincent Ansetti, and I'm going to do an interview with him so we can flesh out some of these issues. By the way, he seems to be a good attorney. I would hire him. But Bill right now is being dragged into court, and the landlord is trying to blame him for letting certain people in the building. He's not responsible for them entering and exiting the building. And in fact, when
how do they know that? Did somebody rat him out?
Oh, please!
Did they send in?
It's nonsense. It's just there's all kinds of rumor mongering and and mud throwing and all this. But the bottom line is, But the bottom line is he's being taken to court now. The landlord wants to evict him, and the landlord has to come up with an excuse. And the landlord is saying, you let people into the building. He's saying, no, I didn't.
It's witnesses.
Shh. Let me just finish here, Ben.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So he's saying, no, I did not. I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my responsibility. But since you've made it an issue, let's have a 24-hour security guard.
24/7.
Right. So now, so he's fighting this fight on several different levels. And Bill goes down to the city council and says, could you please pass a city law that says in buildings like mine,
24/7.
when there's big units, and by the way, we don't know why they wouldn't have wanted a security guard in this building because it's filled with old people, senior citizens and disabled people. You would think from the landlord's point of
Yes.
view that he just for the liability.
The landlord is spreading the rumor that it affects his bottom line. Now, this landlord gets a tax write-off, and this is a total lie. Nevertheless, he has the old people in the Grandview indoctrinated.
Right.
They believe him.
Now, the people in Bill's building think that if they have 24-hour security guards, their rents are going to go up. But that's not true because the landlord is allowed to take this expense as a tax deduction.
Right.
So the reason why Bill is doing this is because he wants people to understand the issues, right? He did nothing wrong. He's being dragged into court on a pretext. The courts are corrupt without independent cameras in the courtroom, and he stands a good chance of getting screwed just like I was screwed by judges who lie and attorneys who stab you in the back and a transcript that's going to be changed. So we're going to stop the harm to Bill by demanding independent cameras in the courtroom. We're also going to stop the harm to Bill by when he wins,
Attorney's fees.
he should be able to recover his attorney's fees. When he's dragged into court by a bad landlord who's making stuff up and he has to pay for attorney's fees, he has the right to be made whole again and recover his attorney's fees.
How did the landlords ever get away with this one-sided boilerplate? Only the landlords can collect attorney's fees, not the tenant. To me, it's I can't understand how they got away with this for so long, but it will now be corrected.
Yeah, and the reason they got away with it for so long
Nobody raised the issue.
and we are, and that's why Bill's case is so important. And I want to bring this to you. I'm going to change the camera view right here. This is the website for Newark Tenants United, and right here, let me just go right
Eric
here.
Martindale.
Yeah, this is Eric Martindale's group, and we're also working with the tenants associations in Hackensack, right?
Yes, that's. Let me explain something. There are 10,000 tenants associations throughout the state of New Jersey. Now, NJTO is the lobbying arm of these tenants associations to get. At one time, New Jersey had the worst tenant landlord laws in the nation. It now has the best. Only because of the lobbying efforts of NJTO.
Right.
But as we speak, the landlords are in Trenton trying to overturn all this legislation.
So here we have Newark Tenants United. This is their website, and this is why we had City Councilman Sharif. And if you scroll down, this is the tenants agenda from Newark. Tenants are 75% of the population in Newark. They should own the city council.
And in Jersey City.
So here we go. Here's the law that we asked to have. Here we go. Not the lease validation process. Wait, where's my tenant law? Here we go. Support state legislation for legal fee equity. Right here. This is on the tenants agenda, and right here. This is item 6, and here's the status. We've been working on this for a while. We've got just like a week ago, State Senator Brian Stack introduced legislation where tenants would get attorney's fees too. So this is Newark Tenants United. This is their website. This is on their tenants agenda. It's item number 6. Please support state legislation for legal fee equity. So we would have had this in 2008, but for 3 steps, the persecution of Lidya Radin. So Lawrence Sidoni has to be responsible for this. Lawrence Sidoni has to ask questions. You would not have been harmed. Every case that you won, every case that has been won since 2008 till now, tenants could have gotten their attorney's fees back, but for the evil practice by Lawrence Sidoni. Okay, so Bill, right now, we've got, let's see, about 3 minutes left. Right now, Bill is going into court, and it's a pretext. His landlord says that he's letting people in the building. He's not. He's on the city level. He's using his case to drive that legislation forward. He wants a city law, city ordinance that says there has to be security guards
24/7.
And he's using legislation to drive forward this state law that says, hey, if my lease says that my landlord can recover attorney's fees, I want attorney's fees.
Senator Stack at the state level, yes.
So what he's doing is he's going in with Vince Ansetti, and he's going to win this because, the pretext that he's being asked to come into court, that it's his responsibility to monitor who comes and goes.
Once we go to court in August, the court's ruling will be definitive. There will be no more muddying the waters. The judge will rule, and that's it. Legislators will have to move along.
So here's the deal. If you were landlords and you had the status quo and you were enjoying this great benefit and you really wanted to screw your tenants, right? Because the last thing the landlords want is that tenants should be able to recover attorney's fees too, because that levels the playing field.
Exactly.
Now it's harder to hurt. You can persecute tenants with frivolous lawsuits. It's the cost of doing business.
Exactly.
In my case, 3 families were driven out of their homes because they couldn't afford to pay for an attorney. They weren't poor enough to get free legal help, and they couldn't afford regularly. Even attorneys who were trying to help.
Yes.
They're like, I still have to charge you something. So 3 families were driven out because of evil Judge Nino Falcone in North Bergen.
Yes.
And Nino Falcone is the dishonest attorney that my landlords hired, and he came in and to lie after lie after lie, and I'm holding his feet to the fire. He needs to be removed from the bench. He is dangerous to others. These people, they almost murdered me. Okay, we're out.
You are tough.
Hello? Hello? Ben, are you still there?
He's gone.
Ben? Wait, where's my caller? Caller in studio. No, I think Ben's still there. Are you still there, Ben? Ben, my super fan.